Hey guys, so I'm here today with a book review for you. We're going to do The Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher. I finished this a few weeks ago actually and just haven't gotten around to filming my review of it. I absolutely loved this book and I was not disappointed. But I'll give you a quick synopsis really fast. So basically, it's a fantasy book, so it's set in its own little universe. And in this universe, like most other fantasies, it is high fantasy, so there are a lot of different races and, you know, it's not just humans. But in this first book of the series, you really only meet two races, which are the humans and then the Morat, which are kind of like barbarians. At least that's the way they're portrayed. But then the humans in this, not only are they just mere humans, but they have what are called Furies, which are kind of like a mystical power over an element, except for it's not just the elements. Like there's earth, wind, water, fire, and then there's also wood and metal. So not just your elements, but for the most part. And so every human, for the most part, has a Fury, or at least one. Some people have two, and they kind of can control things. Like the earth Fury can make people lusty, but it also can help you like travel. And then the water, if you put people in water, they can be healers, so they can heal wounds. Like they each have their own kind of cool spin. They each have their own specialty area. And so the book then focuses on the realm, which is where all the humans live. And there's a High Lord. I think he's the first Lord. And then there are other High Lords who work, you know, beneath him. And basically the story starts with people wanting to overthrow the High Lord because he's gotten old. He no longer has an heir because his oldest son was killed. And so they really just want to dethrone him, want to know who's going to be next, and that's that. You get different points of view. So you get the point of view of the people who want to take over the realm from the king. You get a worker of the king's point of view, and then you get a couple others, but then you get Tabby. And Tabby's a 15-year-old boy. He's a 15-year-old boy who doesn't have any Furies, which is really weird. Everyone thinks he's a freak for it, and basically he has to be smart. Like he has to use his wits to get him out of situations that most people would have used their Furies to get him out of. And he gets thrown in the middle of all of this, and it just all goes to hell in a handbasket from there. And so that's basically your synopsis. I know it was a lot, but it's a fantasy series, you gotta get into it. My review. Let's start there. I loved his different points of views. Like, you know, sometimes a novel being told from more than one point of view, it can get kind of sloppy. This I thought was really, really well done. I thought that all the different points of views worked well with one another. They really made you see the whole picture. You got to see a lot of things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. Like, from a lot of the people's point of view, the Morat are barbarians, they're murderers, they have no culture, they're just heathens. But then Tabby actually gets to interact on a one-on-one basis with these people, and you realize that they do have their own way of doing things, and in many ways they think that the humans are barbarians, and it gives you a better insight. And stuff like that you wouldn't have seen if it was just told from one point of view. So I thought Jim Butcher really balances that well. And the other thing that I really think he did well was just the plot in general. Like, it moved fast enough that it kept you entertained, but it wasn't so fast-paced that you thought, oh my god, what just happened? And then the overlapping plot lines, like, they weren't ever overwhelming. Like, you never felt like it was too much information. It always was just enough to balance out all the points of view and give you a well-rounded story, which is nice because not a lot of authors can do that really well. One of my minor complaints is that there weren't a whole lot of things where you just really didn't see them coming. Like, there weren't a whole lot of plot twists. It wasn't so predictable that you could tell from the beginning what exactly was going to happen. Like, there was some surprises, but there weren't a whole lot of, oh my god, that came out of left field. So, I mean, it wasn't boring, but it just wasn't shocking. My real big complaint with this one, and this is a personal preference, so I will state that, was that there is one battle scene and it drags on and on and on forever. I just get bored with battle scenes. I don't want to read them. I I don't know. They just don't keep my attention. But I will say I did read every word of it because Jim Butcher is an author where if you don't pay attention to the little details, it's going to bite you in the butt later. I guarantee you a bunch of minor details from this book are going to show up later on in the series. Just because I've read his other series, The Dresden Files, and that's just the way he does. He's a very planned author, and everything is planned out to a T in advance, and so you've got to pay attention to the details. So I did read every word of that battle scene. It was just too long for me. But it was plot important. Like, everything that happened was plot important. So I will give him that. It wasn't just hacking and slashing for the hell of it. But when it comes to just this book in general, I feel that it could totally be a standalone. Like, you could just read this one and be satisfied. It is the first book in a series. So, and I do have the second and the third books. Those are the only ones I could get access to at the moment, and I'm going to have to go out and buy the 4th, 5th, and 6th if I want them. But I don't know, it didn't really pull me in to want to read the second one until the last 50 pages or so. Before that I was like, this is a good story, I like it, I'm into it, the characters are fun, but I didn't necessarily need to read the next one. But then the last 50 pages I got hooked and I was like, I have to know what happens next, I just need to know. But like I said before, it does wrap up nicely as an individual package, which is nice. There are no big, huge cliffhangers. Oh, you have to read the second one because this one doesn't have a good ending. That's not the way it was. But there are some questions that will be answered later on in the series that I just really want answers to. And I did. I fell in love with the characters, and that really solidified at the end of the novel, like, just loved some. Okay, you don't love all of them, but I loved most of them. I really wanted to know what happened, so I will be reading the second one. I might do a review of it, I might not, I haven't decided yet. I don't really know how I feel about doing reviews of every book in the series. I might finish the rest of the series and then do one long review of, like, the series as a whole. I haven't really decided yet. So leave me a comment below if you have any input on how you would like me to do that, if you would even care, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I got. Oh, side note, I don't damage my books this much. Usually dropped it in a bunch of water. So it's water damaged, and I feel really bad because it's not even my copy, it's a friend's copy, and I promised to buy him a new one. Feel bad about that, but yeah, that's why it looks so rough. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Have a good day, guys.